when I knew that I was going to have the abortion, and I remember being scared to death that there was going to be someone there that would try to stop me. You know, that someone would be there like
On the sidewalk,
picketing or
yeah.
exactly. I remember, oh, please, please don't. You know, I remember just being scared that that was going to be the case.
Fear at that moment then.
Yeah, because I wanted what I wanted, you know.
Yeah.
I wanted, I really don't know how else to say it. I convinced myself, and to be honest with you, part of it was that it was just a total rebellion because my parents didn't love me. You know, that's how I felt at the time. I mean, I know now that I was deceived. My parents did love me. They maybe weren't really good at showing me that, but they did. And so I was just in total rebellion because inside myself I was like, you know, they can't stop me from doing this, and I'm going to do this. They don't love me anyway, so what does it matter, you know?
Hebrews states, it says, don't harden your heart through the deceitfulness of sin. And sin is deceiving, and it will gradually harden our hearts. And that was, as you look back, you see that was what was happening to you.
Exactly.
Through the deceitfulness of sin, your heart was being hardened. And it's scary to think about how far away from God we can go with that hardened heart. I don't even like to think about it. It's too scary. So what happened after that, Ann?
Well,
You had the abortion.
yes, and the father we actually lived together. We were living together at the time, and we got married months later. And we made a pact between the two of us that we would never speak of it again, that it was our secret, and we would never speak of it.
And you were 17?
Yeah.
18? Okay.
17. And we kept that pact, and we didn't. And so, you know, just went on with life and tried to pretend that it didn't happen and just kind of buried it. And when I was 23, I got pregnant. You know, that time it was a choice. It was planned, and everything was in our perfect little box. And so when he was born, our oldest son, when he was born, and I saw just the miracle of childbirth and the beauty of it, and you know, I don't know, I don't know how long it was after he was born. It was shortly after. And I remember just coming to this very real place. And I should say this too, that by this time, exactly what you said, that my heart had become hardened. And I was no longer at that place that I was in my teenage years that was like, well, I just want to treat people with kindness, and I don't believe that these people are really Christians. I was beyond that place at this point in time. Now I was at, I don't know if God exists. And I was even speaking it out like, I wouldn't go so far as to say I was atheist, but I was definitely agnostic. I was like, you know, I just don't know. I don't know if when you die, that you don't just die. You know, I don't know if there is an afterlife. And so with that, after I did experience a miracle of childbirth, I'd been doing all that questioning, but then I saw that. I saw creation take place, you know. And so one day I just remember, I think I was in my kitchen, and I just said, God, if you're real, then I want to know you. But I don't want to have this make-believe belief. I don't want to like just believe you because that's what everybody says I should do. I really want to know you, if you're real. So show yourself to me. And he did. It wasn't that day, or it wasn't even, you know, a few days afterwards. It was a process. It was very much a process. And I'm actually really glad that you said that thing about hardening your heart, because it was several years later, probably 6, 7 years later, I guess. We had kind of gone to church off and on through that time, but no real life change. My soil wasn't fertile, you know. And But I do remember one day being in church and not even, it was like I wasn't even within my own self in this. I know now that it was just the Holy Spirit doing this, but after the service there was an altar call, and I just went up to the altar, and I told the pastor, I said, I need to pray that my heart will be softened. And, at the time I didn't really understand why or what that even meant, but I just couldn't connect or whatever, God knew that that's what I needed, even though I didn't understand it.
He was already in the process.
That's right. That's right.
Of softening your heart.
Yeah.
So what happened that day when you're talking with the pastor?
Not too much. We just went to the altar, and he just prayed for me. He prayed exactly what I asked for him to pray. And again, that wasn't like, boom, something happened that day. There was still more process that took place after that. And by that time, we'd really started having a lot of trouble within our marriage. My husband really started to, over the years, had gotten worse and worse with alcohol consumption. And our marriage was pretty much at that point, falling apart. And that's a part of what God used to draw me to himself.
God will use anything.
That's right.
He's big enough to use anything to draw us to himself.
That's right.
He's big enough to use my sin and work it in my life for my good to accomplish his purpose. He's amazing.
He is.
You look and see, and you think, well, I just messed up. There's there's nothing good come out of this. God says he's going to work it all out for your good to accomplish his purpose. He's a wonderful, wonderful God. Is he real to you now?
Absolutely.
Yeah. How did that take place? I know you spoke of the process, but at what point in your life did you really know that Jesus had come to live in you?
Well, the marriage continued to disintegrate, and I'm just going to tell a quick story.